The World Series by Renault story started in 2005. After 11 years of passion and emotion, the curtain came down at Jerez on October the 17th and 18th. For this last meeting, the Renault Sport Trophy offered us a spectacle of a rare intensity. Difficult weather conditions helped sort out the duel between Andrea Pizzitola and Stein Schotthorst for the Renault Sport Trophy elite title. And we went behind the scenes with the Verschoor team for this heart-stopping finale, from qualifying through to the final checkered flag of the season.
Hello, I'm Frans Verschoor, team owner of Equipe Verschoor, the equipe that's tried to get the championships this weekend. So if you follow us, you can see if we can make it or not.
In launching the Renault Sport Trophy this season, Renault were throwing their weight behind a high-performance car, one that performed no matter the driver. After competing at top circuits continent-wide, for Jean-Pascal Dose, competition director for Renault Sport Technology, this new formula has been a real success. The assessment is positive and we're very happy with this first year. The setup has been very effective and the championship's gone well. This car was developed thinking about gentlemen drivers and professionals alike, and I think we succeeded on our mission with a car that's agreeable to drive, no matter how at ease you are behind the wheel. The strong point of our car is that it's easy to get to grips with. And the success of the first season gives one the desire to see the RS01 compete in other championships. The Renault Sport Technology team is already hard at work to make that possible. This car has a setup which is unique. The advantage is that we have a car which can be very powerful. While trying to work on a reduction in the output, which is pretty rare in competition, we've managed to come up with a BOP, a performance balance, which takes us into the sphere of the GT3s. From next year, we're going to offer a kit which allows you to slow down the car and which takes you into the GT3 environment. We want to offer the kit to our teams and drivers so that they can compete in other championships. For this last meeting of the 2015 season, let's catch up with World Series by Renault mainstays. Winners of the LMP2 at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2008, the Verschoor team is still in the hands of its founder, Frans Verschoor.
We started the team in 1978, it's a long time ago, and from 1988 we're running Renaults from the 5 GT Turbo till the RS01. When in 2013 the Megane stopped and they tell us that we are going to make a car for 2015, they didn't know the name, but I already know, okay, when Renault is doing something, like all the other cars, the Clio, every time they improve and they improve. So I know exactly when they do the RS01, I know it will be a car that we can have 5-6 years a lot of fun with and go all kind of tracks all over the whole world.
And the love affair between Verschoor and the French brand will continue. The team has entered the 2016 24 Hours of Dubai.
When Renault decided to make a kit that the car can compete in Dubai, I know for sure I'm going to do that, because it's a good race, it is at a good time. It's also a race that the whole world is there, so Renault has to be there, so that's why I'm there.
This season, the elite team is composed of a Portuguese driver, Miguel Ramos, and the young Dutchman, Stein Schotthorst.
Ramos is improving himself very much, and actually he's very enthusiastic and very sporty. So yeah, I think we get in the future get him higher in every level. Stein, it's a guy that we love because he's very young. He's coming out of Formula cars and he sees maybe that his future is in GT and in all our LMP2 cars, maybe LMP1. I think he has the level, so we try to get him a champion. He has to drive with his own talent, and I think with his talent he can do it.
As at every motor race, Renault Sport performs technical checks at the start of the meeting and after each race in order to ensure a level playing field in the Renault Sport Trophy. Christian Guillon outlines to us the different stages throughout a weekend of racing. The security aspect is very important. That's the first stage when we arrive at a meeting. Checking the car's security elements and those of the driver. After the races, there are more detailed checks and we systematically weigh the car with the driver. Then we take the car apart and we can go down to the chassis, look at the engine or the gearbox. If something isn't within the regulations, then I draw up a report and submit it to those responsible who decide on a punishment. We limit the usage of tyres and engines. The tyres are checked. There are barcodes we check every time the car's set off. As for engines and gearboxes, we make sure at the start of the year that the performance of the engines is not very different between cars. During the controls, 3 people are present. An engineer who takes the data. We can see a lot from that and we can make comparisons between cars. Then there are 2 of us who do checks within the teams or at our headquarters. On the eve of the final 2 races of the season at Jerez, the battle for the title in the elite category has reached fever pitch. Stein Schotthorst of the Verschoor team leads the way by 8 points from the driver of the Art Junior team, Andrea Pizzitola. The Frenchman has been consistent all year long. The Dutchman started strongly with 3 straight wins and since then has alternated retirements and podiums. Which of the 2 will be the first champion in the Renault Sport Trophy Elite? We met Andrea Pizzitola and Stein Schotthorst.
A little bit more nerves than normal, but I think that only helps me to focus and makes me perform the best I can.
You feel more tension, you know that you have to win and you think about it. But when you arrive on the race meeting, to be honest, it looked really like the other meeting, like you have to do your job, you have to do good quality, good race, so for now it's okay.
The last race we had in Le Mans was a big shame for us because there was a failure with the engine that obviously cost us, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't fight just as much and just as hard this weekend.
Silverstone, when my teammate had a problem with the brakes in the quali, so he couldn't avoid the crash, and then we couldn't fix the car for my quali, so we have to start last during all the weekend. So maybe Silverstone.
I don't have any weak points, I don't know. No weak points, only strong points.
Maybe sometimes I want to do a bit too much, then it can cost me a lot sometimes.
You could say there's less strong points, but no weak points.
Too fair?
Too fair?
Yeah?
Okay. I'm going to win the championship.
I hope. I want. We never know, but I want to win the championship.
The elite category is the first to go in qualifying. The time set by the 13 drivers will also serve as the reference marks for the endurance race. Andrea Pizzitola sets off early and on his second lap sets his best time of 1:40.648. Unfortunately for the Frenchman, his progress is halted by a red flag and he ends up in 5th. After the restart, Stein Schotthorst sets his best time of 1:40.491, which ensures he'll start on the front row of the grid. The Dutchman will have a psychological advantage over his championship rival. The best time is set by David Fuminelli, superb as he clocks 1:43.46, and that means another pole for Team Oregon. In Prestige, the title has already been claimed by Dario Capitano at Le Mans. He is third in qualifying and is unable to cope with the pace set by the Art Junior team drivers. In second, Tony Fournette puts in a great clocking just behind teammate Richard Gonda, who did 1:55.950 in the rain. And this weekend, it's worth noting that John Ragnotti was there to see how the RS01 fared at the Andalusian circuit. More familiar with mountain passes than the circuits, the motorsport legend nevertheless enjoyed himself all weekend. Jerome Schothurst of Varsho equalled his best performance in qualifying, claiming 9th despite very difficult conditions.
It was very wet and slippery, but we had a good run and it was a lot of fun. So I'm happy.
For the endurance race, the weather was changeable a few minutes from the start. The elite drivers take the start and score points in their championship, which makes this all important for Schothurst and Pizzitola in their title quest. At Varsho, they're wondering which tyres to put on for the first stint of about 35 minutes. On the starting grid, the rain starts to fall and the decisions have been made. Stijn Schothurst opts for wet tyres, and so does his rival Andrea Pizzitola. Off the start, Andrea Pizzitola surges from 5th to soon find himself shadowing Schothurst after overtaking Pastorelli and Panciatici. Until now, Fuminelli has managed to hold on to the lead, but that doesn't hold for long. At the end of the first lap, the Frenchman from the Art Junior team throws himself into the fray, overtaking Schothurst and Fuminelli under braking on the straight to take the race lead. Stijn Schothurst imitates him and overtakes Fuminelli. Pizzitola Schothurst, the battle has been joined in the leading positions. Behind them, Dontia has started to cut through the field. Up to David Fuminelli and challenging for third, the Dutchman dives to the inside. Fuminelli shuts the door, but it's too late. The Oregon driver ends his race in the gravel trap and is 8th. The drivers are now competing on a drying track. The wet weather tyres are degrading rapidly, but it doesn't stop the leader from pulling out a big lead over Schothurst. The window for driver changes is now open. Pizzitola comes into the stands. He gets the 25 points for the win and leaves the wheel to Richard Gonda. Stijn Schothurst comes in, but there's no driver change. The number 10 comes straight into the stands.
Is the car okay for tomorrow?
Yeah, there's no problems with the car at all. We just decided to save the car because the Endurance Championship, we are not fighting for anything. So there's nothing to gain after the virtual finish leg today. And we want to save the car and not take any risk for the race of tomorrow.
So only one Varsho car left in the race, that of Ramos and Coimbra. Miguel Rambos leaves the wheel to his teammate in 10th position. The team put the slicks on and it was time to do so.
It started to dry up and the tires on the back went dead, so it was like rallying, so it was okay, it was fun.
After a few laps under safety car after Tony Fournette went off, the restart allows Capitano to get back into the podium chase. He ends up taking 2nd. Behind him, Niccolo Nallio in the Oregon number 6. The race is stopped when Hellmeister goes off. That means a red flag. No trouble for Richard Gonda in this race. He wins. Success for the Art Junior team.
El tiempo para... Son formales, se van a hacer la foto final. En tan solo 7 minutos.
Already there at Le Mans, Christian Klein takes the start line at Jerez. In the Zelli Racing team, the Austrian driver with 49 Grand Prix behind him is enthusiastic about the RS01.
The RS01 is a very nice car to drive. It's basically a car in between a prototype and a GT car. It's very nice to drive because it has a lot of downforce. It has very good brakes on it. Has carbon brakes on it. And yeah, it's pretty fast to drive actually. For me, I still have to get used to have a roof on top of me, but so far the first impressions were really good.
For Christian Klein, the race format offered by the Renault Sport Trophy is a good launchpad for young drivers who'd like to compete in endurance later.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a young driver coming from single-seaters and you want to go like into endurance racing, like the WEC, it's definitely a good car to practice. You know, it's 2 drivers, so you have to practice, get along with the second driver, so basically make compromises in the setup, for example. We have longer races here, like the first race of the weekend is 70 minutes with driver change. All those kind of things are very good for young drivers to learn and get used to the spirit of endurance racing, definitely.
On Sunday morning, the Sprint Prestige race starts things off. The weather is changeable, but all the drivers want to finish off the season in style. However, sure, the best placed on the starting grid is Antonio Coimbra, who's 6th.
It looks like the weather is improving a bit, so let's see how it goes for the race. But right now, with these track conditions, it is wet but somehow stable. I think we can have a funny race.
The front row of the grid is filled by Richard Gonda and Tony Forney. Behind them, Dario Capitano and Niccolo Nallio. No problems off the start for the Art Junior team duo. Tony Forney gets the lead. Diedrich Sittoff makes a great start. He began in 7th place but has already gained 2 spots. Dario Capitano is now challenging Richard Gonda. It's door to door and the Italian goes through. His teammate follows on. Gonda now finds himself 5th. The Oregon drivers don't stop there. After getting the better of his teammate, Nallio now attacks the leader and goes through. The RS01 number 6 is now in the race lead and Capitano follows on a few laps later. Having started 8th, Christoph van Groningen is overtaking plenty of cars. He's up to 3rd now. After a spin, Richard Gonda puts in a great race. He overtakes Max Brahms and is just off the podium a few minutes from the end. Up front, there's a merciless battle between Dario Capitano and Niccolo Nallio, his teammate. The 6 and the 8 catching up Jeroen Schothorst. Too impatient, Niccolo Nallio goes to the outside to overtake. There's contact with Schothorst. And the hopes of a 1-2 are up in smoke for Team Oregon as Nallio is stuck in the gravel trap. However, sure, the engineers are worried about the state of the car, which is also that used by Stein Schothorst. In the end, nothing too serious there for the car, which will compete for the title at the end of the day.
We finished in position 7, okay? Okay.
Antonio Coimbra finishes 7th in the second Versure car. Dario Capitano finishes with panache, and he beats Christoph van Groningen and Richard Gonda. And the championship podium here, the final race, Capitano, Gonda, Sittoff. At this stage of proceedings, 25 minutes plus 1 lap separates Stein Schothorst or Andrea Pizzitola from the elite title in the Renault Sport Trophy. They don't need to do any serious calculations, only 2 points between them after taking away their worst result of the season. The advantage is Stein Schothorst's. Once again, on this weekend, the weather makes it difficult to know which strategy to adopt. At the Art Junior team, they put on the wet weather tyres. At Versure, they're still not sure. In the end, the mechanics get moving and they put on the slicks. But the Dutch team will soon regret their choice. From the formation lap, the rain starts to fall hard and it means that the track is impossible when you're on slicks. There's the start. Schothorst loses a couple of places, but the real drama is the coming together between Pastorelli and Pizzitola. The Italian hits the Frenchman and seems to have ruined his chances for the title. But Pizzitola manages to get going again, and the safety car means he manages to stay in contact with the peloton. Several drivers come into the stands to change their tyres, but at Versure the strategy is different. Schothorst stays out. He changes his wet weather tyres only on the following lap. After respecting the mandatory tyre change time, the Dutchman gets back onto the track last. 14 minutes plus 1 lap to go when this restart starts. Pizzitola is in front of Schothorst in the standings provisionally. The Frenchman accelerating on the straight, but he overtakes Miguel Ramos before getting across the line. Despite the risks of the penalty, he doesn't cut his efforts here and gets up to second place. Behind them, a great battle for fourth between Perez-Ecar, Van Buren, Panciatici and Ramos. There's contact between Panciatici and Ramos. And for a second time. Schothorst's teammate is now down to 9th.
Are you okay again? Is the car okay as well?
Solid leader since the start of the race. Indy Dontje is all alone out front. In third, it's the former F1 driver Christian Klein, driving the RS01 number 9 of Team Zelli Racing. Stein Schothorst isn't giving up on anything up until the checkered flag. He throws all his strength into the battle and overtakes cars to come up to 5th. As he crosses the line, a penalty of 25 seconds lands on Andrea Pizzitola's head. That's the sanction for overtaking before the line when the race was restarted. It means he's third, 2 seconds in front of Stein Schothorst. Thanks to this podium finish, the Frenchman, who's come in from single-seaters, gets the title in the elites in the Renault Sport Trophy 2015. A never-before-seen podium for the final meeting. Indy Dontje on the highest step on the podium, followed by Christian Klein and Andrea Pizzitola. In the championship, Pizzitola in front of Schothorst. Only 2 points separate them. David Fuminelli is third.
Plus ce jour arrivait, plus cette course arrivait, plus les heures passaient. Et moi j'y croyais.
The longer the time went on, the more I believed in it. It was a dream. You have to believe in it right until the end. We saw what happened in the race. It's great. I'm so happy. The closing ceremony happened straight after at Jerez de la Frontera. The drivers received their trophies. Andrea Pizzitola also got from the president of Nismo, Shoichi Miyatani, a racing suit in the colours of the Japanese firm. That's the reward for the Frenchman, who will have a chance to take part in an official testing session in Japan in a Super GT. And to get to know the identity of the successors Dario Capitano and Andrea Pizzitoli, rendezvous in 2016 for another season of the Renault Sport Trophy.